This is 6.3a of Algebra. So we're looking at systems of equations again. We've looked at graphing and we've looked at substitution. Now we're looking at a method called elimination. Okay? In elimination, we are going to either add our equations or we're going to subtract our equations. And by doing so, we're going to get rid of one of the variables. Right? You can't solve an equation that has an x and a y in it. But you can solve an equation that just has an x or just has a y. So, in these two down here, we are going to add them. So, let's work on our first one here. I'm going to add these. And why am I adding them? Well, let's look at it. We've got a negative 6y and a positive 6y. Negative 6y plus 6y is 0. So, when we're adding equations, we're going to add ones that have the same number in front of their variable, right? So these both have 6's, and we want them to be opposite signs. We want one to be negative and one to be positive, because that way they cancel out. If we had positive 6y and positive 6y, when we add those, that's 12y, right? So one needs to be negative, one needs to be positive. So let's add these. We get 8x, and then negative 6y plus 6y, well, that's 0, so that's going to go away. And negative 32 plus 48 is 16. Divide both sides by 8, and we get that x equals 2. Remember, that's not our final solution, right? Our final solution is going to be a point. So I have my x, I need to find my y. Doesn't matter which equation you plug into. You could choose either of them. I'm going to choose the bottom one. So 3 times 2 plus 6y equals 48. So this is 6 plus 6y equals 48. And I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides so that 6y is equal to 42. And when we divide by 6, we get that y is equal to 7. So our solution is the point 2, 7. Okay, now let's look at this one. Which variable is going to cancel in this one? Well, we've got negative 3x and a positive 3x, so our x is going to go away. So let's try adding these. So remember, negative 3x plus 3x is 0, so that just disappears. And we've got negative 3y plus negative 4y, which is negative 7y, equals 9 plus 5 is 14. Divide both sides by negative 7, and we get that y is equal to negative 2. We need to go back and plug in. Doesn't matter which equation you choose. I think I'm going to choose the second one. So 3x minus 4 times negative 2 equals 5. So 3x, and then we've got negative 4 times negative 2, that's a positive 8, equals 5. It's going to subtract 8 from both sides. 3x is equal to negative 3, and divide by 3, x equals negative 1. So our solution is the point negative 1, negative 2. Okay, so those ones we both added, right? In some cases, the better decision is to subtract. So let's say, I'm just going to make one up here. If we have the equation 2x plus 4y equals 10, and we've got 5x plus 4y equals 20, right? This one, if we added, we'd get 7x and we'd get 8y. So that's not really helpful. But if you look at the y's, they both have a 4, so that's pretty close. Our problem is that one of them isn't negative, right? We said we need to have a positive sign and a negative sign. But if we subtracted, that would get rid of our problem because we'd have 4y minus 4y, and that would equal 0. So we're going to look at our story problem down here. So we need to come up with our own equations here. Washing 2 cars and 3 trucks takes 130 minutes. Washing 2 cars and 5 trucks take 190 minutes. How long does it take to wash each type of vehicle? Okay, so I'm going to call how long it takes to wash cars, X, and how long it takes to wash trucks, Y. Because like if you had 8 cars, and let's say it takes you an hour to wash each car, right? You're going to do an hour times 8, and that tells you that it would take 8 hours. I hope it doesn't take you that long, but right, you do how much time and times how many cars you have, and that'll give you your total. So we need to set up an equation. So if we have 2 cars, that's going to be 2x, right? 2 times however long it takes, plus 3y, 3 times however long it takes to wash a truck, and that equals 130 minutes. And then our other equation, we've got 2 cars again, so 2x, plus, this time we've got 5 trucks, so 5y equals 190. So again, look here, 2x plus 2x is 4x, and 3y plus 5y is 8y. So adding's not going to work. So instead we're going to subtract. When you are subtracting equations, you are subtracting every term in there. So 2x minus 2x, well that's 0, so our x's are disappearing. 3y minus 5y, that's a negative 2y. And then 130 minus 190, that's negative 60. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2, and we get that y is equal to 30. So it takes 30 minutes to wash a truck. Okay, now that I've got my y, I'm going to plug back in so I can figure out x. I'm going to plug it into, how about that first equation? So 2x plus 3 times 30 equals 130. So 2x plus 90 equals 130. I'll subtract 90 from both sides. We get that 2x is equal to 40. When we divide by 2, we get that x is equal to 20. So we said it takes 30 minutes to wash a truck, and it takes 20 minutes to wash a car. And there you go, there's your homework.